My name is Elias, and I'm 33 years old. I hadn't seen my family in over 6 years, not by choice, but because life took me far away. When my mother retired, I made it a point to stay connected, calling, texting, sending birthday cards, Christmas gifts, and even arranging flower deliveries. Their responses were inconsistent. Sometimes a brief thanks, other times nothing at all. The distance started when I left the country for work, first to Switzerland, then to Canada. I always believed we'd reconnect when I returned, picturing a warm embrace, like a long-lost son coming home. I was wrong. This December, I had some time off. I saved my vacation days, booked flights early, and planned everything meticulously. I kept it a secret, imagining their joy when I walked through the door. On the flight, I rehearsed lines like, "Guess who's back?" After a grueling 14-hour journey, multiple layovers, and 3 overpriced coffees, I arrived exhausted but hopeful, thinking I was finally home. No one was at the airport to greet me. I assumed they were delayed. I waited by baggage claim, watching families reunite. The crowd thinned. 30 minutes passed, then an hour. Eventually, I took a cab. In hindsight, the silence should have been a red flag. I reached my childhood home just before dusk. The house was aglow, cars lined the driveway. Through the window, I saw my parents, 2 brothers, their spouses and cousins gathered around the dining table, laughing. Holiday music played, dishes clinked, and glasses were raised. I knocked. No answer. I knocked louder. My Uncle Mark opened the door, drink in hand, and smirked. "Didn't know we invited ghosts?" I stepped inside, but there was no warmth, no hugs, no smiles. My mother glanced up, blinked, and said, "Oh, Elias," as if she'd just remembered I existed. My younger brother Ryan chuckled coldly. "We've moved on, man. Don't expect a spot in the photos." I mumbled, "Okay," stunned, waiting for someone to laugh and say it was a joke. Silence. Even my father said nothing. They resumed eating, casting awkward glances. My old seat at the table was gone, replaced by a cabinet. My stocking wasn't above the fireplace. No gifts for me under the tree. I'd been erased. I stood there, frozen. My mother approached and whispered, "Don't make a scene." I wanted to speak, to argue, but words failed me. I nodded, turned, and left, the cold air biting as I closed the door. That night, I checked into a cheap hotel by the highway. No festive lights, no family feast, just a vending machine sandwich and the crushing realization I had no family anymore. I didn't text, post, or cry. I sat in silence. The next morning, I flew back to Canada. No one called, no one texted. The silence was deafening. For 2 months, I lived mechanically. Work, eat, sleep. But the pain simmered, a quiet ache. Something shifted. That moment at the door, treated like an outsider by the people who raised me, ignited a resolve. I didn't act out of spite at first. I just wanted peace. But reflecting, I saw they hadn't forgotten me. They'd chosen to exclude me. It was deliberate. I dug through old messages, emails, photos. Patterns emerged. I'd been dropped from group chats, left out of family events, and saw posts captioned, "The whole gang's here," without me. I remembered wiring money to my father for a roof repair, buying my niece a tablet for school. Never thanked. I'd supported them from afar, the successful Elias, the globetrotter, the entrepreneur. But when I stopped being useful, I ceased to matter. The word wasn't loved, it was useful. So I decided. Not with anger, but with calm finality. I contacted a U.S. lawyer I'd worked with before, giving him a list of everything I'd funded for my family. Some in my name, some co-signed, some promised to be repaid. I asked what I could legally reclaim. Over 3 weeks, we gathered documents. Mortgages, bank records, property deeds. I hadn't realized how much I'd given until it was laid out. I'd covered the down payment for their Lake Tahoe retreat. I co-signed my mother's car, tied to my credit. Ryan's boutique fitness business? I'd bankrolled it entirely. They'd built their lives on my support, then cast me aside. I acted methodically, not vengefully. Small legal steps. A tweak here, a withdrawal there, all above board. I wasn't destroying lives, I was reclaiming mine. 2 months post-Christmas, cracks appeared. My father left a voicemail. "Hey son, something's off. The bank needs a new appraisal for Tahoe. Call me?" I didn't. Then a group text. "Why are the business accounts locked?" Elias. I left it on read. Chaos erupted last night at 10:40 p.m. My phone buzzed relentlessly. I ignored it until Lena, my sister, texted in all caps, "What did you do?" 3 missed calls followed, then a flood of messages. Anger, fear, desperation. Something had snapped. The dominoes I'd nudged were falling, and I watched calm from my Canadian apartment. For the first time in years, I felt still. I didn't reply to Lena's frantic texts. Ryan's long-winded rant starting with, "What's wrong with you?" and ending with, "This is family, man," or my mother's curt, "You've made your point. Fix this." I sat, watching the group chat explode with panic, trying to unravel what I'd done. Why the bank blocked their mortgage renewal. Why Ryan's business account was under review. Lena texted again, scared. "Elias, please, Dad's losing it. They say the house isn't secure. What's happening?" I leaned back, breathing deeply, not out of joy, but clarity. I wasn't cruel. I was done. There's a difference. Let me clarify what I did. It wasn't theatrical. No shady tactics, just calculated pressure, like removing a single block from a shaky tower. First, the Tahoe retreat. I'd co-signed and paid the down payment years ago for my parents' retirement haven. They promised it was temporary until their old house sold. It never did, so I kept paying. My name was still on the deed, so I filed to clarify my ownership share, not to sell, just to document my stake. That halted their refinancing. Then, my mother's car. I co-signed her 2019 lease because her credit was shot from undisclosed medical bills. The lease was in my name, so I told the dealership I wouldn't renew or sign anything further. She could buy it outright or return it. Purely business. Then Ryan's business. 3 years ago, he begged me to fund his fitness startup. I sent $35,000 as a silent partner. No formal contract, just brotherly trust. But I wasn't careless. I funneled it through a Swiss holding company from a past venture. When I had my lawyer withdraw that company's stake, it triggered a bank compliance review freezing his accounts. Ryan called 3 times. I ignored him. His voice message. "Bro, what are you doing? I've got payroll, suppliers." I didn't listen to the rest. Lena's reaction surprised me. The family peacemaker. She sent a long, emotional message calling my actions an overreaction. That word stung, like being excluded at Christmas was trivial. "You could have talked to us," she wrote. "Why punish everyone?" Punish. Not protecting myself, not setting boundaries. Punish. I didn't reply. Instead, I met my accountant the next day to sever the final tie. A family trust I'd funded for a decade. They called it a rainy day fund, but it covered parties, renovations, spa trips, even Ryan's second honeymoon. I had receipts. I told my accountant to liquidate my share and return any funds. I signed the papers that afternoon. That evening, my father called. Not a text, a call. I didn't answer. His voicemail sounded weary. "Elias, it's me. We need to talk. We didn't mean to shut you out. Your mom's upset, Ryan's in trouble. You've made your point. Can we talk?" I listened, then deleted it. Later, Lena emailed a Christmas photo. Everyone at the table. Mom, Dad, Ryan, Lena. Laughing, my seat still gone. Her message, "We didn't mean to leave you out. We thought you wouldn't show. You never do. Can we fix this? Tell us what you want." They didn't get it. It wasn't about money, seats, or gifts. It was about being invisible, giving so much you vanish unless someone needs something. It was about walking into your childhood home and being treated like a burden. I drafted a reply. "I don't want anything. I just want to be free of you." I didn't send it. One final step remained. This wasn't revenge, it was closure, ensuring they couldn't dismiss me as moody beginnings. They'd wait me out like a storm, grumbling privately about my immature antics, shocked when I didn't show up for next year's Christmas. Months later, my mother would likely send a breezy note. "Hope you're doing better now," as if I just had a tough week. So, I needed to make it final. The next morning, I made 2 calls. First, to a real estate agent in Colorado who'd helped my parents buy the Tahoe retreat years ago. I told her I was considering forcing a sale unless the co-owners bought my share at full market value. No discounts. I had the original deed with my name on it. "They can't claim I wasn't involved," I said. "My name's there. I want what's mine." The second call was tougher, to a notary service. I'd prepared a letter, not an email or text, but a physical letter, mailed to each of them. Mom, Dad, Ryan, Lena, and even Uncle Mark, whose mocking laugh still rang in my ears. It was 2 pages long. Page 1 was direct and clear. I was severing all personal and financial ties, effective immediately. No more shared accounts, co-signed obligations, or trust fund contributions. Any debts they owed me were done. Not forgiven, just finished. I wanted nothing more from them. Page 2 was harder to write. It wasn't angry or accusatory. It was honest. I described the airport, standing alone after a 14-hour flight. No one there to greet me. I wrote about Uncle Mark's cruel quip, treating me like a stranger. I recounted Ryan's words. "We've moved on without you," and how they cut deeper than any physical blow. I mentioned the missing chair, the absent stocking, my mother's plea not to start anything, as if my presence was the problem. Then I wrote what I'd been holding since that day. "You didn't forget me. You erased me. Now I'm doing the same." No threats, no blame, just truth. I ended with, "I wish you well. but I'm no longer part of this family. I signed it, had it notarized, and sent each copy via courier with tracking. The next day, I checked WhatsApp for the first time in weeks, over 70 unread messages. I ignored them all. Lena sent childhood photos, us at the lake in goofy floaties, me helping Ryan blow out birthday candles. Her note, "This is who we are. Don't throw it away." I almost wavered, but then I remembered the moment that hurt most. Not the laughter, not the missing chair, but standing in the house, silent, waiting for someone to say, "We missed you." No one did. Not a word, not a glance, just silence, like I didn't belong. They'd let me go long before. I was just making it official. 2 days later, the letters arrived. Ryan posted an Instagram story, a black screen with, "Some things can't be undone." Lena texted one last time. No photos, just, "Okay. I got your letter. I guess this is it. I wish it were different." I didn't reply, but at 2:13 a.m., my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. My stomach dropped. It was my father. I talked to Ben. 4 words. No punctuation, no context. It felt off. I checked Ben's Facebook. Nothing. Then Ryan's page. An hour earlier, he'd posted a hospital hallway photo with the caption, "Family's messy. Sometimes there's no redo." I froze. Was this a trick or something real? The sterile corridor image reminded me of hospitals where people left for good. Despite the silence, the cold smiles, the exclusion, that old urge to fix things, to call, to help, to return, stirred. But I didn't move. I just stared at the message. I talked to Ben. Ben. My uncle. The man who laughed at me on Christmas Eve, who drove me to baseball practice and cracked lame jokes at the batting cages. Now just a name, no social media, with hospital rumors swirling. I typed, "What happened?" No reply. An hour passed. Then another. Nothing. By morning, Lena called. I hadn't planned to answer, but curiosity won. "Elias," she said, voice raw, like she hadn't slept. "Ben had a stroke. Started Saturday night. No one checked on him until Monday when he missed lunch." I stayed silent, listening. They found him on his living room floor, dehydrated, disoriented, couldn't move his left side. I said nothing. "He's awake, but his speech is slurred," she went on. A pause, then, "He asked for you." My throat tightened. "Me?" "Yeah," she said. "He wants to talk, to set something right." Silence hung heavy. "I don't think he has long," she added softly. "Dad's there. Ryan, too." I leaned on my counter, heart pounding. I didn't even like Ben. Beyond that cruel laugh, I barely thought of him. But this felt different, not about money or favors, but about closure. I asked for the hospital's name. 3 hours later, I was on a plane. I didn't tell anyone, didn't text, didn't post. I just went. The hospital was small, quiet, birds chirping outside. The nurse at the desk gave me a soft look and pointed to room 204. Inside, the lights were dim, curtains half open, machines beeping faintly. Uncle Mark lay there, frail and pale. He turned toward me, eyes flickering with recognition. "Elias," he slurred. I froze, then pulled up a chair. No hugs, no touch. "Didn't think you'd come," he said, each word a struggle. "Neither did I replied. Silence settled, broken only by the machines. "I screwed up," he said finally. "Christmas. That laugh. I was drunk trying to cut the tension. Made it worse." He coughed weakly. I stayed quiet. "Heard about the trust, the cabin, the business. I get it. Don't blame you." He swallowed hard. "You always kept track." Another pause. "Not asking forgiveness. Just had to say this before it's over. I saw you, kid, even when they didn't." My throat burned, but I didn't move. "No, it's late," he said. We sat in silence. I looked at him, the man who taught me to change a tire, now a shadow. I couldn't hate him. When I stood to leave, he grabbed my wrist. "Proud of you," he whispered. "Don't let them drag you back." I nodded, then left. Outside, I ran into Ryan. His eyes widened. "You came?" I didn't answer. He looked rough. Messy sweatshirt, greasy hair, stress etched on his face. "Didn't know it was this bad," he said softly. "With you. With us." I raised an eyebrow. "You said you moved on without me. That wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. You'd been thinking it." He winced. "Thought you didn't care. Always gone, working, traveling. Figured you were above us." "I was trying," I said, voice sharper than intended. "Trying to stay connected. You didn't just stop calling. You erased me. And I still sent gifts, showed up. Ryan looked down. I messed up, he said. No, I shot back. You all did, together. He nodded slowly. Can we fix it? The question they all asked. I thought hard, let it sit. Then I said, no. His eyes widened. I don't hate you, I added. But I'm done chasing approval, done being the fallback for people who treat me like an outsider until they need something. So that's it, for now, okay? Ryan wanted to argue, but didn't. He stepped aside and I walked past. That evening, I visited my childhood home one last time. No one was there, likely at the hospital. I didn't go in, just stood on the sidewalk staring at the door I used to race through on birthdays, scraped knees and balloons in tow. Then I turned away. Back in Canada, I didn't cry or rage. I just lived. I closed all joint accounts, sold my Tahoe share to a third party. No drama, just a clean deal. A month later, Lena wrote. Ben passed quietly. Dad cried for the first time in years. Mom was subdued. Ryan shuttered his business. Lena said she understood why I did it. I thanked her. She asked if I'd come back, even for coffee. I said maybe, but I knew the answer. Not out of anger or spite, but because I was no longer just surviving in their story. I was living my own.